Okay, so where to start with this one? I believe it's based on a TV show. And the story here follows a band of literal demon slayers going about slaying some demons. And generally I'm hesitant to watch movies based on TV shows I haven't seen. But for some reason this one was getting a lot of attention and creating a lot of buzz as well. And not just from anime fans but mainstream critics and audiences. I mean, it's even playing at a cinema close to me right now, which is unusual for a non-Ghibli anime. So I figured if it's getting this much attention, and the ratings online are very impressive too, I might as well give it a chance since I do like myself a good anime movie from time to time. Although I will also admit that when it comes to anime, I do prefer... how do I put it? Movies that focus mostly on story and character, I guess. And this to me, like many others, seemed like it might be more action-oriented. And turns out it is, it's very much action-oriented, because even when you do get some character moments, they're basically also wrapped in action. In fact, after the first few minutes, this one is basically non-stop action all the way to the end. And I will give it credit where credit is due, the action is very impressive. However, and this is my problem with action most of the time, in most movies. If I'm not invested in the story and the characters, the action just doesn't carry any weight. It might be visually impressive and objectively cool, but it's not gonna move me very much. And that's a problem with this movie, at least for the majority of the runtime. Because I really felt no connection to anything going on for the first hour or so. In fact, I was genuinely bored, and the fact that the characters are so outlandish and over the top didn't really help either. I mean, they're absolutely ridiculous and I found it very difficult to connect with them. Now, eventually we do start to get into some actual character building. We learn a bit of the backstory and we learn what makes them tick, and at the same time, the more extreme and ridiculous aspects of the characters get significantly toned down. Like the difference between Rengoku when he's first introduced to him at the end is basically night and day. Like it might as well not even be the same character, because at first he's extremely silly, goofy and frankly absurd. But at the end he's quite literally the opposite of that, calm, stoic and genuinely well fleshed out. Which honestly made very little sense to me, but hey, I very much welcomed that change because it was a huge improvement. And I will say that toward the end I actually started to like and enjoy the movie. I thought the climax was absolutely awesome, I mean the definition of a spectacle. And not only because the visuals were impressive, but because at that point I actually cared too. Now, as great as it got toward the end, I can't really ignore the fact that for a good hour I was actually bored. And having now seen the movie, I'm kinda confused as to how this has gotten more or less universal praise. If you're a fan of the TV show, I get it. You probably already like the characters and you're invested from the get-go. But if you're just a random viewer or critic who just pressed play, I don't quite understand it. I mean, I get that there's an audience that loves it, but it feels very specific. This to me just doesn't feel like a movie that's very accessible to a general audience. But hey, people seem to love it, so what can I say, I'm probably an idiot. But personally, as great as the movie got toward the end, it did bore me for a good hour too. So I'm a bit torn, but I'm having a very hard time giving it anything more than a solid 5. Boop. And I would perhaps recommend it to fans of anime, but to a general audience, not really. So, you know, maybe check this one out or maybe don't. After all, I'm not your dad. But hey, what are your thoughts on this? Have you seen it? Did you like it? Let me know. And if you enjoyed the video, maybe give it a thumbs up or sub to the channel because that would be fantastic.